as I mentioned, show you the test at the end. So to give you a little history, Saint-Gobain Norton got into the structural adhesive business in 2001. And I'm going to show you a little introduction that we actually, when we launched the product, we showed at the ICAR National Meeting. It'll just give you a little taste of what the product involves. There are videos that are available on our website in reference to best practices on how to use it properly, and I'm actually going to show you some videos in a minute on how to do that. Normally, we're in body shops physically doing these actual demos so technicians and body shop managers can see how to actually use the product. But I just wanted to let you know there is some reference material. There's videos available, like on this DVD that's up top here. It's actually showing our truck line, which is just bigger tubes of the auto line that I'm about to show you. And then, as I mentioned, we'll touch on some of our best practice courses and videos that are also available online. So I just want to let you know that most of this material is readily available for you if you need to research or had any other questions or wanted to see the videos again or anything like that. So if it's all right with you folks, I'm going to click on the introduction and introduce the Speed Grip line to you. Hopefully everybody's got their speakers up and they can hear this nice and loud. Here comes the video.
Not all crashes can be fixed, but for those that can, Speed Grip is the adhesive of choice. How do you know it will work? BMW, Chrysler, Ford, Freightliner, General Motors, International, Kenworth, Mack, Mercedes-Benz, Mitsubishi, Navistar, Pace Aero, Peterbilt, Suzuki, Toyota, Volvo. These companies are OEM users of the identically formulated product. This product meets or exceeds manufacturer specifications, and it has been tested to prove that. 2 questions, 1 answer. What does that mean? It means that this product is the solution to your repair requirement. Is it TPO or not? If it is TPO, this is the answer. The same product used with our adhesion promoter. If it is not TPO, then the same adhesive without the adhesion promoter is the answer. What is the window work time? The answer is the same. We offer you the same product with different work times to give you the product you need to do the best repair possible. That's it. One adhesive product to solve your repair requirements. TPO Repair, 1 answer. Speed Grip Structural Adhesive. SMC or Fiberglass Repair, 1 answer. Speed Grip Structural Adhesive. Metal to metal bond, 1 answer. Speed Grip Structural Adhesive. Norton, a name you know, brings you Speed Grip. Speed Grip, 1 answer.
Okay, so that's a little introduction for you. Before I get into the other videos, I'll fill you in on some things that have changed with the line over the years, because as I mentioned, we launched it in 2001. But the neat thing of the product is it's urethane based, so it makes it very user-friendly. Can be used on metal, can be used on plastic. Matter of fact, there's 2 materials we recommend that you don't use it on, and there's only 2 because of the strength of the structural adhesive. This actual urethane product is 3,700 pounds per square inch tensile strength, which is almost twice as strong as a resistant spot weld. So we recommend you don't put in windshields with it or any type of glass that is expected to come out someday, because the only way you're going to get the glue out or off is to heat it to 240 degrees Fahrenheit or to physically cut it or grind it out. The other material that we recommend you don't use our urethane structural adhesive on, and the reason I'm mentioning this is this information is asked of you on the test, is stainless steel. Because any glue, not just ours, any structural adhesive requires, and ICAR will tell you the same thing, a 36 to 80 grit scratch to give the glue some type of tooth to bite into. Stainless steel is kind of hard, to do that with. So there's only 2 materials we recommend you do not use this on. Most people use the urethane product that you just saw in the introduction on doing plastic repair. So back in the day when people used to use the old adage, if it floats, promotes, and those kind of things, you had to determine the type of plastic. This next particular video will show you what type of plastic you're dealing with if you're doing a bumper repair. So I'm going to go to the next video.
Before you proceed with using Norton Speed Grip structural adhesives, it is essential that you first determine the type of plastic with which you will be working. You have to know whether or not you are working with thermoplastic olefin, commonly known as TPO. This is critical since an adhesion promoter must be used on TPO. To find out, lightly grind the surface on the back side of the plastic in question. If it smears or melts, then it is of the TPO family, and you must use an adhesion promoter. If it powders when sanded, then the substrate is not TPO.
Okay, so basically, if it's any type of plastic, you need to use an adhesion promoter. Most bumpers or plastic parts are made in molds where they spray it full of release agents so they can get the part out after it's been formed and heated, and those get embedded into the plastic. So the adhesion promoter, which we have, is both brushable and sprayable. Once you sand the plastic, gives make sure those release agents, I guess, basically don't come back to haunt you, so that the glue will stick properly to the sanded bumper. What I'm going to tell you about balancing the cartridges is the same with most similar structural adhesive products. You need to make sure they're coming out equally out of the tube before you put a mixing tip on. So this next particular video is going to show you how to balance the cartridge and make sure, because it is a 2-part adhesive, that they're coming out equally together. So once we've sanded the plastic, we've determined that we need a adhesion promoter or not. I'm also going to show you a SMC or fiberglass repair. That doesn't require an adhesion promoter, so that's why we went through the plastic types.
Craig, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
Did you explain to everybody about the ICAR test at the beginning?
Yes, I thought I did. If I didn't,
okay.
Okay,
I just want to make sure that we showed it.
Yeah, no, and I plan on going over it at the end, and that's why I kind of let people know some of the numbers, like the 3,700 pounds per square inch tensile strength. That'll be a question on the test. Two materials that you don't use.
Sure. Thanks.
No,
okay.
no. Interrupt anytime you'd like. Keep me on check here, because we teach these all the time. So what we're going to talk about now is making sure the cartridge is balanced. If somebody gets, I'm also responsible for our tech line, so somebody calls the tech line, which is right over here, this 866 number, and God forbid something went wrong. One of the first questions I'm going to ask them is the cartridge balanced? Is both the 2 parts of the adhesive coming out equally before you put a mixing tip on? If they're not coming out equally, then you might not get the proper mix. If you don't get the proper mix, then you're not going to get the strength you want. It might not dry correctly. So what I'm about to show you now is a pretty common practice, not only with our structural adhesive, but anybody's structural adhesive for cartridge balancing.
While it is simple, loading the cartridge into the applicator gun is a critical first step in ensuring a quality repair. First, remove the plastic lid protector and open the cartridge by breaking off the tip with a flat screwdriver. Attach the mixing tip nozzle to the cartridge and tighten it to prevent leakage. As you can see, the gun has 2 plungers, one for each side of the cartridge. Pull the plunger mechanism all the way back. Insert the bottom of the cartridge into the gun first, making sure that the plungers are aligned against each side of the cartridge. With the bottom properly positioned, you can lay the body of the cartridge into the gun channel with the tip extending out through the opening in the front. Now, You simply cut the mixing nozzle to the required bead size. Before using the adhesive, the pressure applied to both sides of the cartridge needs to be balanced so that the separate compounds inside the cartridge flow equally when extruded through the tip. Purge the cartridge until you see a bead of black adhesive about 1 inch in length. Black indicates that the compounds are blended properly. You are ready to go to work. If there is still unused adhesive in the cartridge after you are finished, you can save it for future applications. Just leave the mixing tip nozzle on and it will seal the cartridge and protect the adhesive inside. When you want to reuse the cartridge again, take off the old mixing tip nozzle. Apply a new mixing tip nozzle, cut it to the necessary bead size, and reload the applicator gun exactly as you would with a new cartridge. Purge the cartridge until you have a 1-inch black bead. You are ready to apply the adhesive to the repair area.
Now, a couple things that have changed since we launched this product 12 years ago. One, we actually gun out material, making sure it's coming out from both sides of the tubes before we put the mixing tip on. Then we also purge out more material with the mixing tip to make sure that it's a nice consistent black color, because one side is black, the other side is tan or white, depending on the catalyst. The mixing tip doesn't have an extra collar on it like it does in the video. Now it's built right into the mixing tip, so nobody has to worry about where do I find the collar. It's built right into the mixing tip. The mixing tips come with the tubes. There's 2 for every cartridge, and of course if people need more, our distributors, our friends at Impact, can help you get packages of 6 or cases of 60. But it's really important with any structural adhesive, not just ours, to make sure that the material is coming out equally before you put the mixing tip on, and it's coming out in a consistent color once you put the mixing tip on. Now, we have 3 cure times in the urethane line for doing plastic repair. We have a 1 minute, which is fully cured in 12 minutes at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a 5 minutes, which obviously a little longer work time. So you can imagine in your different climates where you're from, if it's a little warmer, especially in the summertime, we do have some 1 minute customers, which is our most popular urethane glue, and they switch to the 5 minute because they want a little more work time. Or, for example, we have some 5 minute customers that might switch to the 15-minute product because they need a little more work time because it's a lot warmer. They can do that. The material is all the same. It's the same strength with the same urethane, like the first video showed you in the introduction. It doesn't matter. The strength of the material doesn't change. It's just how long do I have to do the job? How big is the repair? But the 1 minute is the most popular because it's fully cured at 70 degrees Fahrenheit in 12 minutes. So one of the most popular repairs that people do with the structural adhesives is a TPO or a plastic bumper repair. So this next video is going to show you how to actually do a TPO repair with our structural adhesives. If you're using a different structural adhesive, you'll notice the process is pretty much the same as most other competitive products. I'm going to show you that video right now.
Once you have determined whether or not you are working with TPO, you are ready to proceed with the repair. Before you begin the actual repair, check the bumper for any residual distortion of its shape. If you detect any, use a heat gun to restore it by lightly heating the distorted area and guiding it back to its original shape. Take care not to overheat the area, as it will affect the performance of the speed grip adhesive. Before proceeding, clean both the front and back sides of the repair area using Speed Grip Plastic Parts Cleaner number 04623. Abrade the back of the area being repaired. Once the entire area is abraded, you must then valley out the front of the damaged area, leaving a rounded as opposed to a sharp edge on the opening. Using a DA sander operating at low RPM, sand the front area. Make sure you feather the edges out. Using only clean, dry air, blow the surface free of dirt. Do not use a solvent or cleaner. As this is a TPO bumper, apply Speed Grip TPO Adhesion Promoter number 04624 to the entire sanded area, front and back. Once applied, allow 10 minutes flash time, but not more than 15 minutes before you proceed with the repair. Apply the nylon backing tape number 04632 to the repair area. Ensure that the tape extends about 1 inch beyond all sides of the damaged area. Now, choose the Speed Grip structural adhesive best suited to your work time. Load the cartridge in the gun and apply a generous coating of adhesive to the backing tape. Cover the adhesive with plastic contour release film number 04633. Use a plastic spreader to work the adhesive in both directions and achieve 100% coverage. Now, you switch to the front side of the bumper to finish the job. Apply the adhesive needed to fill the repair area on the front side of the bumper. Once again, for best results, use a plastic spreader to ensure complete 100% coverage. Allow the adhesive to cure as per the directions. Sand the surface of the cured adhesive and feather edge it to a smooth surface with an invisible seam. Examine the repair area for low spots or imperfections. If there are any, they must be refilled. To refill, apply TPO Adhesion Promoter to the sanded surface of the original bumper. Be careful not to get any adhesion promoter on the repair area. Reapply the adhesive, spread it, and let it cure. Resand the cured adhesive and feather it for a seamless edge. Remove all dust and dirt using a clean, dry air source. The repair is now complete. Polyester-based fillers should not be applied to Speed Grip adhesive. If you must use a polyester-based filler, the Speed Grip must be sealed with a primer consisting of either 2-part epoxy or 2-part urethane.
So that's a typical TPO repair. A couple things that have changed since we launched the product 12 years ago. The plastic parts cleaner that you saw, that was a solvent-based with some plastics, maybe not so friendly. So we've gone to a water-based cleaner specifically for plastics. So that's one change that has happened over the 12 years. We have also, you saw a brushable TPO adhesion promoter. We also have an aerosol one. I know most folks in the body shop like the aerosol where they can spray it on. It's really your preference. It's the same material. I personally like the brushable because I know I'm going to cover all of the 36 to 80 grit scratch. Matter of fact, when they bead the or UD damaged or the repair area out, they use 36 on the little grinder that you saw, or 50 grit depending on how soft the plastic is. Maybe use 50 grit with a fiberglass repair, and then they used 80 grit on a DA. So it still follows that general rule of thumb that the glue needs some type of 36 to 80 grit scratch to bite into. We've also added some new materials because you're not supposed to put polyester filler over bumpers, as most people know out there in the industry, but there are some people that still do it. We have come up with some products that are a little more user-friendly, so to speak, that you can put on there that won't have a chemical reaction. That's the only downfall with urethane. It's great, it's strong, you can use it on a number of materials, but it doesn't play nice chemically with polyester body fillers. You actually get a bubbling effect. So when I get a call on our tech line and somebody says, I got a bubbling effect, either two things have happened. They put polyester body filler directly over the urethane, which you're not supposed to do on a bumper anyways, and the two have a chemical reaction. Or if you've noticed, in the video, they cleaned before they did any sanding. If they happen to use a cleaner after they sanded the plastic, some cleaners, depending on what they could be, different solvents out there, might wick into the plastic and come back to haunt you and give you a bubbling effect. So we've made some changes to the line since then, but the repair itself is essentially the same. We sand it with 3680 good scratch, blow it off with clean, dry air, don't add any other chemical other than the adhesion promoter so that the glue adheres to the plastic, and follow your procedure normally. Now the next repair that I'm going to show you is SMC or a fiberglass repair. You're going to notice that we use a different reinforcement material because it's fiberglass, which, by the way, that reinforcement tape, some people say, oh, that's just regular old drywall tape. Well, actually it's not. Saint-Gobain makes drywall tape too, so we know. Drywall tape essentially is supposed to sand away. The reinforcement tape that you saw in the repair is kind of equivalent to pouring a foundation with rebar. You're giving the glue something to bite from both sides. When I teach a number of our training classes, I tell people it's basically like a broken bone. It's going to be even stronger in that spot because of the strength of the glue than it was before. Just like if you ever broken a bone and it heals, it's actually stronger in that particular spot. But the reinforcement tape gives the glue something to bite from both sides. In this SMC or fiberglass repair you're about to see, you're going to see no adhesion promoter because we don't want to add any chemical to fiberglass. It's like it'll wick into the material and could come back to haunt you, especially when you paint it. And you'll also, you see, we'll use a different mesh tape. The contour release film that was shown in the video, it's available. Most people just spread it with a spreader. Some people use the contour release film. It's up to them. The neat thing about the contour release film is you'll be able to tell when your repair is dry and cured. That either peels off, or the fun thing is it'll actually peel off a spreader because most spreaders are TPO and there's no 36 to 80-bit scratch or any adhesion promoter on most spreaders out there. So there's a couple ways to tell. How do I know my 12 minutes is up? One, it'll peel off the spreader that you used to spread it. Two, if you use the contour release film, it'll be able to peel back off. And three, the repair isn't hot or sticky to the touch anymore. So you notice the operator using gloves. It's a good idea because this stuff will stick to your hands and might take you a few days to get it off. Okay? So I'm going to show you a fiberglass repair. You're going to notice it's somewhat similar to a plastic repair, but once again, no adhesion promoter and a different type of reinforcement mesh you'll see for the glue to grab onto from both sides.
Before proceeding, clean both the front and back sides of the repair area using Speed Grip Plastic Parts Cleaner number 04623. Dry the repair area with a heat gun to ensure no moisture is trapped. Abrade the back of the area being repaired. From the front, abrade and valley out the repair area, making sure to round the edges. Using a DA sander operating at low RPM, sand the front area. Make sure you feather the edges out and that the edges are smooth. Notice that the material powders as you sand. That means this is not TPO plastic, so TPO adhesive promoter will not be used. Use only clean, dry air and blow the surface free of dirt. Do not use a solvent or cleaner. Now, choose the Speed Grip structural adhesive best suited to your work time. Load the cartridge in the gun and apply a continuous bead of adhesive around the repair area. Apply structural backing patch number 04631 on top of the bead so that it completely covers the area about 1 inch beyond the repair area. Gently embed the patch into the adhesive bead using a plastic spreader. Now apply a generous layer of Speed Grip adhesive on top of the patch. Lay a piece of plastic contour release film number 04633 on top of the adhesive. And use a plastic spreader to work the adhesive into the repair area and spread it in all directions to ensure 100% saturation. From the front, Apply a bead of adhesive directly on top of the repair area. With a plastic spreader, work the adhesive in all directions, making sure the valleyed out area is filled and the edges are feathered out. Allow the adhesive to cure as per the directions. Sand the surface of the cured adhesive and feather edge it to a smooth surface with an invisible seam. Examine the repair area for low spots or imperfections. If there are any, they must be refilled. Reapply the adhesive. Spread it and let it cure. Sand the cured adhesive and feather it for a seamless edge. Remove all dust and dirt using a clean, dry air source. Your repair is complete and ready to be primed with a high-quality, non-lacquer-based primer.
So that's a fiberglass or an SMC repair. Once again, notice no adhesion promoter, a different type of mesh tape. Also, the cleaner that was shown was a solvent-based product. Now we've gone to a waterborne, something a little more environmentally friendly. Also doesn't have any solvents or bad VOCs for any of the operators. But you'll notice both the TPO repair and the fiberglass repair, we clean before we do any sanding. Once we've sanded the area, we just blow it off with clean, dry air. But the two repairs are essentially the same. The only difference is no adhesion promoter on fiberglass or SMC, and we use an adhesion promoter for TPO. So as you saw in the beginning, 2 questions, 1 answer. The product can also be used for putting panels on. This next particular video is showing urethane being used to put on a quarter panel. When we first got into the glue market or the glue business, we used to put quarter panels on with urethane, but we found out the OEMs like some other materials. They like acrylics, they like epoxies. Those are also available in our speed grip line, and because we only have an hour together, we actually have separate courses on panel bonding and different types of repair. But I'm going to show you a quarter panel video. It's going to give you the essential application directions on how to do it, how to grind the metal, how to get ready for the quarter panel. But we've actually added some other technologies. A lot of the OEMs like acrylic because you can resist and spot weld through it. It has better corrosion protection than urethane. So this particular quarter panel is going to show a 40-minute product that's actually been replaced with a 45-minute acrylic now in the market, and even a 75-minute to give you a little longer work time. If there's some folks out there that are gluing, like on Corvettes, they're gluing fiberglass or SMC quarter panels onto metal frames. We even have a 90-minute product for gluing different substrates, gluing fiberglass to metal. We call it a multi-bonder, and you've probably seen some other 90-minute products out there. All 3 of those products have glass beads in them, so you can't overclamp them. They're going to talk about the thickness of the clamping material and all that fun stuff. The neat thing is the technology has advanced so much with the OEMs and the type of metals that they're using that the quarter panel video that you're about to see is a little dated. Matter of fact, they're going to show you a zinc weld primer that we have in our line. It's actually showed incorrectly in sequence. That should be put on first, not last. But essentially, the video itself will show you how to do the repair. I'm just letting you know that there's advanced technologies. I'm not sure if there's some people on the line that remember the old lacquer days of paint. And the paint technology is advanced over the years. So has the glue technology. So I'm going to show you the quarter panel. You'll notice that they might just scuff the E-coat. Now, ourselves and other glue manufacturers recommend that you take it right down to the bare metal because the glues now have incredible corrosion protection properties in them and have incredible bite, and they still need that 36 to 80 grit scratch or tooth to bite into. So, but I still want to show you the video to show you that our glues can do these type of applications. So, here goes.
Repairing a quarter panel breaks down into essentially two parts, preparation and then the actual repair itself. First, preparation. Using a grinder, you must establish the bonding surface on the vehicle with a bond line. This will give you a clear view of where to apply the adhesive. Remove all paint, rust, and corrosion from all surfaces to be bonded on the vehicle. Once the bond line is established, it must be thoroughly cleaned with Norton Universal Cleaner, number 82780. If you are working with OEM parts with an E-coating, the surface of the E-coat requires a light scuff sanding on the bond line with 80 grit paper. Do not remove the E-coating. New metal parts covered with any primer, including lacquer that only provides rust protection, must have the primer completely removed along the bond line. Now that you are down to a clean metal surface, you're ready to proceed with the repair. You must straighten and repair all parts to be bonded so that there are no gaps or voids between the two surfaces to be bonded. Clamp the part in place and check it for fit and alignment. Again, checking to make sure no gaps or voids exist between the two surfaces. Once you are certain the part fits, remove it from the vehicle and proceed with the repair. Select the speed grip adhesive best suited to your working time. Number 04618 with a 40-minute open time and a 60-minute adjustment time is recommended. Apply the mixing tip nozzle, cut it to the appropriate bead size, and load the cartridge in the applicator gun. Now, apply the adhesive to the substrate in a continuous bead about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch wide along the bond line, so that the adhesive is sure to bridge from the bare metal on the vehicle's substrate to the facing surface new quarter panel. There can be no voids or air gaps between the bare metal of the original substrate and the E-coating of this new quarter panel. Adhesive should be applied along the upper and lower edges, the wheel opening, and along the trunk line. Place the replacement panel onto the vehicle. You will have lots of time to work it into position before the adhesive sets. When the panel is in place, clamp it in proper position. Do not over-clamp it. The adhesive thickness between the two surfaces should be from 1/32 of an inch or 0.7 millimeters to 1/16 inch or 1.2 millimeters. This is about the thickness of a paper clip. With the new quarter panel clamped in position, use a plastic spreader to work the adhesive back into the seam to eliminate potential air gaps or voids. Then wipe clean of the excess adhesive. Drill a series of holes through the new quarter panel into the substrate along the edge where the trunk lid meets the quarter panel. Insert screws for added hold and security. After the adhesive is set, apply Norton Zinc-Rich Weld-Through Primer, number 82781, to all metal surfaces that must be welded. It is recommended that all rear body panels be welded in the following areas to ensure a high-quality, durable repair. Along the rear vertical portion where the quarter panel attaches to the rear body panel and sail panel. Butt joints will require cosmetic finishing with plastic filler and paint. Once welding is completed, be sure to remove all weld-through primer from surfaces that must be top-coated. The repair is now complete. Polyester-based fillers should not be applied to speed grip adhesive. If you must use a polyester-based filler, the speed grip must be sealed with a primer consisting of either 2-part epoxy or 2-part urethane.
Now, the whole reasons that those portions of the quarter panel need to be welded is because that's what the OEM is requesting. All of the OEMs request that you weld the taillight and you weld the panel or the seal panel, the seat pillar where you match the quarter panel to the existing part of the car for crumple zones. They want those portions of the quarter panel to break away and absorb the energy so that the passenger inside the vehicle doesn't get hit with that energy. That's why the glue that we have is 3,700 pounds per square inch tensile strength, our urethane anyways, everything in between. So the glue won't break away unless some significant force, where the OEM wants you to weld, that's only about 2,000 pounds per square inch tensile strength, that will break away more easily and absorb the energy instead of the passenger getting injured inside. So it's the OEMs that are requiring welding in areas. We do have a 2-hour class specifically for metal bonding and panel bonding for quarter panels, truck bed sides, van sides, roof skins, door skins, that goes into much more detail. And that's why I kind of told you about the other materials that we have. We have we have a 45-minute and a 75-minute acrylic, because that's what the OEMs are requesting nowadays, plus there's some repairs that they want you to physically weld and glue at the same time in the same place. And then, of course, we have a 90-minute product that all have glass beads. You don't have to worry about the gap and all that fun stuff that this older video showed you. So that's why you see another bullet point here in the presentation about metal bonding. Now, you might wonder, okay, what if I have to cover a seam? We also have seam sealers that are in our line. We basically have 3 of them. We have one that's it's a non-sag. What I like to say is we have one that goes up, and we have one that goes down. The 97-120 is a standard non-sag epoxy seam sealer. The reason we go with epoxy is we don't really need the strength of a urethane. Plus epoxy you can scuff and sand a whole lot quicker. It dries from the outside in, so you can actually sand and paint it faster than it's dried all the way down. Where urethane that we've been showing you here dries from the inside out, so you know once it's outside, it's dry to the touch. It's completely dry to the inside, so you've done a nice repair. We also have an epoxy self-leveling product. Both of those dry in 30 minutes. And so if you're doing a roof ditch repair or anything like that, the product will lay itself down, of course, as long as the vehicle is level. And that also dries in 30 minutes. Since we've launched the product 12 years ago, the market has requested a bare metal seam sealer. So we've also added a gray bare metal seam sealer for those folks that don't want to worry about corrosion protection, because seam sealers require you to sand just like you would do a plastic repair and give the glue something to bite. But of course, for corrosion protection, you should also prime the surface. The neat thing about this bare metal seam sealer is it can go over a prime surface, or it can also go over a bare metal surface. Speaking of bare metal, you noticed in the quarter panel video, they showed you sanding the E-coat, or if it's an aftermarket part or some other type of primer is on there, you should remove it altogether. We are educating people now, and most of the glue manufacturers out there are doing the same thing. Take that E-coating completely off, take out any of the guesswork, because the primer is going to be your weakest link, so to speak. So only as good as the primer is attached or the E-coat is attached to that metal panel is how good your repair bond is going to be. So we recommend you remove it completely, get down to the bare metal, give the glue a nice tooth to bite into on both the substrate, as you saw the bare metal, and also on the new panel that you're putting on, whether it's an aftermarket part or an OEM part. It just takes out all your guesswork if you get down to the bare metal. You also might have noticed there was a different cleaner used for the corner panel. We have the universal cleaner, as it's called, or nowadays it's called a panel and adhesive cleaner. That is specifically a solvent-based product for cleaning metal panels, because obviously we wouldn't want to use a water-based cleaner like we would on plastic, because that would promote rust. So you notice a different cleaner in this particular repair. But I also wanted to let you know that there's other products out there for metal bonding. So the market has advanced quite a bit over the last 12 years since we originally saw these videos. But as I mentioned, the videos are available. You can order the disc from our website, nortonautomotive.com, that you see here. We even offer a bigger tube line for folks that are repairing trucks or require the plyo grip name, because most of the big truck OEM manufacturers, Peterbilt, Kentworth, and all those guys require bigger tubes. They want a different colored glue. It's green in color for fixing semis. The line is pretty extensive. Today was just to kind of go over an introduction for you and fill you on what's available. Okay, so we have 3 urethanes, a 1 minute, a 5 minute, and a 15. We have 2 acrylics specific for metal bonding, a 45 and a 75, and then we have a 90-minute glue that can glue just about everything else under the sun. Okay, and then of course the seam sealers that I mentioned. We also, and I'll show you what other classes are available in just a minute, we also have a best practice course specific to plastic repair, for a structural repair, for a cosmetic repair, depending on the damage to that particular plastic piece. We offer a 2-hour best practice class for that. We offer a 2-hour metal bonding and panel bonding 2-hour class too, if anybody is interested in those particular classes. So Melissa, I think, has asked folks to either put their questions into the chat box or contact me directly down the road here. So one thing that I want to point out, and I'm going to show you the test right now, and sorry, the screen just went blank. This is the actual test form. If anybody's interested in receiving iCar credits, all of our courses have tests. If you decide to get iCar credits, don't worry about the instructor and the location and the due date. I know who I am, I know where I am, and I know what today's date is. Not to be funny about it, but notice right here, if you have an iCar ID, if you don't have an iCar ID, iCar requires at least the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Norton Saint-Gobain does not want this information. It's so we can pass your record on to iCar so you can get your credit for the course. So if you decide that you want to receive a credit, an hour credit, or for this particular class, iCar asks that you minimally fill out the iCar ID or the last 4 digits of your Social Security number if you don't know your iCar ID. I know it's not some people don't keep it handy. And your name, address, state and zip, and your phone number, that information gets submitted to iCar so you can get your credits. And then this is a 1-hour class, so it's a simple multiple choice question course here. So what is the tensile strength of the urethane product? Hopefully from the presentation you'll remember the number that it is. Which one of these structural adhesive repairs requires an adhesion promoter? You can choose which one you believe needs an adhesion promoter. If you remember, some products don't and some products do, absolutely. Also, we talked about our seam sealers. How fast do they dry? That's another question. If you remember in the beginning, I said there's 2 materials we recommend you don't repair with our structural adhesives. You can answer that question, and also which one of these particular cleaners is used for prepping metal panels. All these things were covered in the video. I believe Melissa is going to also record this, so if you want to go back and see them or order our DVDs, you could. But you would take that particular form that we're going to send to you, fill it out, send it to me, and I can send your information on to iCar. So after that's all said and done, well, how do you go about getting your points for iCar? This is iCar's actual application. This application is on their website, and it's also on ours. If you go to nortonautomotive.com, okay, this application comes up, and they're going to ask you for the same information that we asked you for on the test. Your name, your address, all that fun stuff, your Social Security number or your iCar ID, so they can match the records from us saying you have taken our class to the actual application. Our course is free. All 10 of our courses are free. This is where iCar gets a processing fee, I guess is the best way to put it. If you work for a company that's going to pay the processing fee, that's where this information goes into, the company information. And of course, we don't want your money. iCar does. Here's a method of payment. But on the second page, there is a listing of our courses. One thing that I want to point out, and this is iCar's rules, not ours, 45 days from today, if you decide to take this class or try to get the credits, take the test, and send it to me, 45 days from now, you will be in iCar's system. So in other words, what happens is you send me the test, I process it, I send it to iCar. iCar's saying that you won't be in their system to get credit and send this application to them until 45 days after. We usually turn them around in a couple of weeks, but iCar has so many people sending applications to them that it obviously takes some time. So this is the second page of the application, which lists all of our courses. Melissa mentioned there is a $47 fee for you to get credit for the course. So the class that we just went through today is this one, Adhesive Refinishing Training, SGPM 40 and a 4, and there is a $47 fee. That's not payable to Saint-Gobain to Norton. That's payable to iCar to get credit for the classes. If you notice, all of our classes, even our 4-hour automotive refinishing course, which this adhesive class is a part of, you could also take a 4-hour class with us. It's under our parent company's name, Saint-Gobain, and we're also listed in their Industry Alliance application on their website. These are the 10 classes that we offer. So this covers our entire line of automotive refinishing products in 4 hours. If you have folks that are just worried about how do they refinish panels, how do they cut panels off the vehicles, how do they grind, how do they do body filler work, all that wonderful stuff. If you have some folks in your paint department that need an hour credit for paint refinishing training, we have that. The adhesive refinishing training we took today. We also offer a 4-hour best practice course that goes through the basics, body prep, doing a structural repair, doing a cosmetic repair, masking best practices, paint refinishing best practices, defect removal, and buffing. Now, knowing a lot of body people don't like to go to paint people's classes or vice versa, we also have a 2-hour plastic repair and panel bond course. So that's the best practices on how to use products specifically for plastic repair and panel bonding. We also have, for the paint folks, masking best practices, paint shop best practices. That's another 2-hour course. I did mention, because we're one of the few manufacturers that has urethane, acrylic, and epoxy in our structural adhesive line. We have added another course specifically for metal panel and weld bonding, especially with these high-strength steels and boron and all those wonderful things out there. We have another 2-hour class for that. We have come out with a new design of our paint cups, so we have a new best practice class for that. This is a very interesting course. If you have any folks that are estimators in your businesses, we know estimators know how to do repairs and know how to write them up very well, but some of them might have the customer service experience or the ability to interact with customers because they're just not used to it. They know the body shop business very well, they know how to do a repair very well, but maybe handling something over the counter, so to speak. So we actually offer a 3-hour professional selling skills course for your estimators, and it's the same course that we teach our salespeople out there in the field, which, by the way, our salespeople out in the field can teach any of these courses too. But I just wanted to show you the application. This is what you'd fill out and send it to iCar after you sent the test to me. And this is the adhesive course that we went through today. So I'm going to throw it back to Melissa, see if she has any questions. I appreciate everybody's time. I don't know if there's any information in the chat box that we want to talk about some things, but now's an opportunity for questions, comments, or however Melissa would like to move forward. I appreciate your time, and hopefully see you somewhere down the road in the body shop business.
Thanks, Craig. I haven't received any questions yet, so I don't see anything here. I just want to let everybody on the call know I'll send you a copy of the test, of the application, and of the presentation. And again, if you have any questions, you can send those to myself or Craig. And hopefully you guys will go ahead and take the test and get your credit for iCar. And that concludes the webinar today. We hope you found it informative, and we'll be in touch with future training opportunities. Thank you. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Melissa.